Hey everybody, we are back at the 4Art space and I'm with Brian and Susie. We do have some great conversations, right guys?
Yes.
So we just named it. We just named it just now.
Oh, we did, yes.
We named this the Can of Truth. The artist can of truth, okay? So we're gonna pick our topic out today and so you guys are doing good?
Yeah.
Yeah, keeping busy, doing art.
Yes.
You got an art show coming up.
I do. It's going to be at Co-Prosperity on the 20th of November from I think 6 to 9 p.m. Masks and vaccination cards required.
Yes, and it is curated by an intern of mine.
Yes.
I'm very proud of her, Jenny Lamb. Jenny Lamb, I'm giving you a shout out, girl. I hope you're watching.
Hi, Jenny.
I'm very proud of her. She's been doing great these past years, and I always am in the background watching everything she's doing, even when she don't realize I am. So make sure you tell her. I gave her a shout out on YouTube.
Will do.
All right, so we are going to pick the topic, and you picked last time, so it's your turn, Brian. Dig deep.
Oh, this is a nice one. Juggling art for others, commissions, versus art for yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a nice one.
That's a good question. A good topic, I mean. So, juggling art for others. Boy, I'll tell you, back when I opened the gallery, this was in 2003, I didn't know too much about this stuff, commissions or anything like that, but as I got the gallery started, and I had artists that were 10, 20 years in the business before me. And they were like, yeah, I've got this commission job. And, and they would start telling me about it. And they would always be really, well, to be honest, not all that excited about it.
Yeah.
And I was always like, cause like I'm like a kid in a candy store. I don't know, nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, well, why do you sound so angry about it? And they were like, well, this just isn't, it's nothing that has to do with my own creativity or, it's a job. When you get a commission for something, it becomes a job. And, you're forced to paint something that somebody else wants you to paint.
Right.
And after hearing that from, oh gosh, many people over the years, I was just like, well, I don't think I want to do that. Right?
Right.
I mean, do you, Brian?
Not anymore. I don't take commissions anymore. It's
Did
been
you
years.
used to?
Yeah, and it was work. And sometimes people weren't happy with your work. And they wanted to be the art director, and there's deadlines. And yeah, I don't do it anymore. I haven't done it a commission in years. I had a guy ask me if I wanted to paint his car, picture of his hot rod, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, no
Okay.
thanks.
That's a completely different type of painting too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what is, I think there are a good handful of artists that do commissions as their 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think if we're going to look at this as a balancing act, let's ask this question then. Okay, let's say it's your 9 to 5. How does that affect your art? How would it? Did it affect you, Brian?
It was a distraction, because you had to put extra thought into the commission. I have nothing against commissions.
Yeah.
People who have the energy to do it. But I just like being in charge.
Yeah.
I don't like deadlines. I worked as a graphic artist for 7 years out of art school, and so you get to go to work and make art, right? But it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Long hours, deadlines. Someone else was calling the shots.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I have this thought around doing commission work. It's not fun for me. personally.
Well, it is
That-
fun
so
for a
other
lot of people that I talk to
Yeah.
don't sing.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there is people out there that enjoy it just fine.
Yeah.
I guess, on my respect of seeing things from both sides from people, I just decided that if I did a commission that, and it wasn't, this is how people approach me, and maybe it was the same for you guys. They're like, oh, I love your work, I've been watching you grow over the years and I'd like to have you do this for me. But then everything they suggest that I do is everything opposite of what I do. So I was like, no, I don't do that type of work. And, if you want me to do a piece for you specifically, then it has to come 100% from me. I might use, like say you wanted, like most of them came when I was doing, for my observation series, they're like, can you use some of our photos? Well, yeah, I could do that. But give me the photos and let me derive the stories I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Use the photos I feel fit the piece. Needless to say, none of those ever happened. Because here's the thing, you love my work because why? It moves you.
Yeah.
It moves you. It moves you, you enjoy it, you've enjoyed it enough to ask me to do something specifically for you. I think there was one time I did manage to do one with somebody, but they said, you do whatever you gotta do, here's a couple photos, use what you want. If that was the case, then yeah, I was fine with it. But then I had some people who would say, yeah, do whatever, and then all of a sudden they're sending me emails, oh, can you do this? Can you add this color because that was their favorite color? Or this, I'm like, no, I can't, sorry. Here's your money back.
Yeah.
Your deposit, because I'm not, now it's become something more than we agreed from the get-go.
Right.
So I think as an artist, we have to be clear to people. Yes. What we are going to do, what we're not going to do. So after sort of being in the middle of this sort of sea of information from different artists, I was just like, I was scared of commissions.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to be angry or upset, or deal with people in that way. So when I was approached with it, I always had that in the back of my mind. So I made sure that there was the line drawn in the sand. I just recently did a couple of commissions, you saw them, the skateboards. And, I explained, I was like, I would love to do it because, it's a challenge, the shape, everything, the composition would be a challenge for me, but I'm up for it. Mm-hmm. We're in the middle of a pandemic, give it to me,
Yeah.
So I said, but the elements, everything has to come from me. Because in order to develop this composition on a skateboard, whether I'm drawing or painting on it, it had to be 100% or none. And I made that perfectly clear. They were fine with it. I went with it. And I enjoyed every freaking second of it. Every second of it. And it was literally 29 or 30 hours of work for both decks. But it flew by because I was having fun. Everything that I could possibly put of myself went into those decks. So there you go. And I'm proud of them.
Yeah. They turned out beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm proud of them. And I miss them now that they're gone. But they love them. They love them. And that is what it means, guys. Like when you create art, yeah, it's coming from you, but it's also for the people to react to.
Yeah.
So for somebody to come and ask for commission, I guess it's a balancing act. What would you say?
I agree with that. I think it also comes down to finding, like with any other job, right? Because a commission is basically a job. You want to find the right fit with your client or potential client. If it's someone who understands your vision, appreciates your style, and is willing to work with you and allow you that artistic freedom, they trust you artistically, I think that becomes a really good fit for a lot of artists. Because the common gripe that I often hear with artists, besides like, well, we just said 1 or 2 sketches and suddenly became 5 sketches, like either the scope balloons way over what was originally talked about, or the client doesn't trust the artist artistically, which is like, well, you would hire an electrician and pay them a fair rate because that's their expertise.
Right.
Same thing for artists, and I don't think it, unfortunately, it translates for our industry for some reason or another, but a lot of people are just like, I had a really good example from this morning. I had a man DM me last night, and he said, same thing, love my style, had been following in the background for a while, wanted to commission me for a gift piece for his wife, which I was ecstatic. I'm like, that's very touching. I feel appreciative. I'm excited. But I asked him, so what are you thinking, or do you need me to provide some suggestions? And he was like, do you do portraits? There's no portraits whatsoever on any of my Instagram pages.
Yeah.
Absolutely no
Right.
portraits. But I explained to him too, like, and I can understand the thought process. A lot of people might think, well, if they're an artist, they should be able to draw anything
Right.
and just apply their style to it. But I explained to him, I said, thanks for reaching out. I want you to be satisfied with your final product, and it's such an important gift for your wife. I want her to be happy too. I have not done portraits in years.
Right.
That's not my thing. Like, my focus right now is animals, mostly birds. So that was just a way for me to tell him that I was appreciative, but also explain to him, hey, this is not what I'm focusing on, and it's not going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
So I think like managing expectations is a really big part of commissions if you choose to take them.
Right.
So it's kind of like, for me at least, I'm willing to be a little more flexible. Like, I have learned to set certain expectations, like you get this many sketches or you get this many revisions and that's it, you get within this scope of hours. So that way it's like I'm guarding my time and my effort, and they have an understanding that if it goes beyond that scope, then they have to be willing to compensate or to scale back on it, because that's only fair to both parties. But at the same time, I'm really excited when I do get to collaborate and, as you said, Robin, to be challenged, perhaps by a different surface or a different format that I'm not as familiar with. So for instance, for Uptown Art Week, I got commissioned to do the largest mural I've ever done on the side of a small business. And
That was great.
Thank you. And I was really, really excited. And the thing was, there was like way more changes to it during the process than I expected. But I also really understood the mindset of the owner, like where he was coming from. Like, he wanted me to do fish, which I did have one Instagram example of that, and I could see where he got that from. And these fish meant a lot to him. So like for me, like I think the empathetic part of me being an artist was like, I know how much it means to him. So I'm willing to be flexible. I did explain, hey, I was billed for 30 hours and that's all I can do. But within those 30 hours, what is your priority that you want me to represent in these fish? Mm-hmm. And he said ultimately it was about the scales to show that movement. So I did my very best, and I ended up revising the fish mid-paint. But when he came out, like, we still did it within the time scale, but when he came out, he was just blown away, and he's like, this is what I wanted. This is exactly what I was talking about. And I think that moment alone was like, it made it worth it, even though there was a lot of back and forth, and it was a challenging project. To me, at least I enjoyed that kind of challenge.
Right.
Obviously, because it was still collaborative, and he was still understanding, and his wife was super sweet to me and gave me pastries, so it was all good. Like, experiences like that, I think, help me grow as an artist, and some artists are able to take that on if they have the energy.
Right.
But for other artists who are like, no, I know what I specialize in, and that's what I want to focus on, then perhaps it's better for them just to say, you know what, if it's not this or that, thank you for thinking of me, but let me refer you to another artist in the community that perhaps can do that project better.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point of view that you just shared, because I think, I do feel like, I don't know why artists are devalued that way, where, you know, the point that you made, when their skills like a doctor, dentist, or, you know, chef or whatever, they're praised and paid all this money to do what they've gone to school to do. Or, you know, chefs don't always go to school, they're just born to be a chef.
Yeah.
We're, a lot of times, I mean, I would say, especially for me, I was born an artist. I was born. It was a gift to me by whoever's up there giving it. You know, so I have to do it. It is not an option. It is what I'm good at. And when I do something for somebody else, or when I'm pricing my own art, I price my fair value. There's always going to be this side of people who are going to say that's too much, and this side of people are going to say that's too little. Okay, when it comes to commissions though, I had to really dig deep, because like you, I also was in graphic design, and I had an hourly rate. So with the skateboards, for example, because I really didn't have a platform at that point to really go by, I said, well, I'm going to treat this by the hour like I would somebody who I'm doing graphic design for. Okay? That was my only basis. Now, whether that was too low or not, I don't know. But I felt like it was fair to me. Everybody agreed. The time frame was right, because I said, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know when I can get these done. I don't know. I got to let some days, I just had to stare at it for a few days. You know, you do one element, you got to look at it for a while.
Yeah, you got to motivate yourself to work on it.
Well, not just that, but it's, you know, you look at the composition to add these sort of, you know, elements, and you're building the story. It's not going to happen in, you know, 2 days. And as long as people can respect that, hey, when I'm done, if I don't love it, you get your money back. You know, you don't have to continue to pay me for them. But I'm not going to give even a commission job something that I'm not proud of. I'm going to do my very best. But, you know, when it comes to that, people who are doing it for a living and how they feel about when they go toward doing their own art, I don't know if the mindset is different. You know, are you also just thinking about how to make money when you're doing your you know, art after, you know, doing your commission jobs? Like, what's the boundaries, I wonder?
You know, the style that I paint in, you can imagine 99% of my people who ask me, besides like a hot rod or a pet, it's usually a portrait. And it's, you know, my deceased relative. And I got all these pictures, and that doesn't work. You know, it's really, I don't think people don't realize how hard it is to paint a really good portrait. And they're very subjective. And actually, my last commission was a failed portrait that I put my heart and soul into. And there was a major change in the middle of it. And you know, and I said, that was it. That was the last one. I'm not going to do it again. It's painstaking. It's painstaking to do art for other people. You don't know where to begin. I think, you know, if it's not coming from me 100%, I think I feel I'd be doing somebody an injustice. I really do. Because it wouldn't be me. I couldn't sign it. I wouldn't even want my name on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's not me, the money doesn't matter. You know? Like, I think, you know, we've all talked about the legacy, you know, like what we leave behind, and our voice, when we don't have a voice any longer here to speak about our art needs to speak for itself. And I think a lot of people need to understand that. You know, not every artist is about the money. You know, it's bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. When people say, oh, artists ask way too much money for their art. Well, I can tell you, you know, if it takes me 30 hours to do 2 longboards, imagine how many hours it takes me to do other paintings.
you know, like your landscape oil paintings and your nudes and, you know, your flowers and your still lifes. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
And it's not just the you know, people think it's the time that you're painting, but no, the hours that you accumulate isn't just about the physical, it's also about the mental. You know, that thinking about it and looking at the surfaces and you know, a lot of times if I'm working on a strange, you know, odd shape, I need to look at that shape. I need to feel it. I need to turn it around. I need to see how it looks in a light. I need to hang it up. I need to picture how my concept in my mind is going to fit that. Right? How do you make money per hour on the thought process?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, people don't get that. You don't
do you
get
work
it.
from home?
I do, and it's like, yeah, I'll be like doing something else, like cooking. I'll be like, what if I do, like, it doesn't, like, if I'm working on something, whether it's for my own art or for a commission, it's like it's just mulling. It's like tumbling in my mind constantly.
Yeah.
Like, anyone who rock hounds knows that they have those rock tumblers, so it's just like tumbling there, slowly getting refined, and that's a constant thought process that doesn't just, it's not like you go into an office, you clock in, and then when you're done, you leave, and you just leave it at that. It's like just in here constantly until you're done, and it's safely where it needs to be at, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I can relax.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know how to, the compensation for that is a little different, because it's not just the physical act, as you say, Robin, but it's a giving of yourself, a part of your creativity, of your mind, your emotion, everything of you
spirit,
as an artist. Yeah, your spirit.
Yeah.
It's all encompassing, you know, and I think, I mean, this is a great topic. I mean, you know, I don't know how people juggle their job, and I know people that do, and if you guys are watching, please leave a comment on how this affects you. You know, how does juggling your art versus your commissions for your job? I mean, there's a lot of artists who do straight up commissions, 9 to 5, you know,
or they work at 9 to 5
week.
and they come home and they do commissions.
That's
they
true.
Just do.
But then they're not, if that's their life is commissions, they're not working on art for themselves anyway. So it wouldn't really be a point of view for them, because that's what they do. Mm-hmm. We're talking about how do you juggle commissions and your own art. You know, the art that the blood, sweat, and tears come from, you know.
Right.
Not that you don't have blood, sweat, and tears when you're doing commissions, but I'm saying, you know, how do you juggle that? You know, how do you change that mindset? Because there is two different sides of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's me. It's just more free and easy when you're just working on your stuff for yourself. Yeah. Like work at your own pace, and like I work from home too, and my easel's very, you know, within
right
view.
there. You look at it.
So I'm always looking at it and always thinking about it.
Yeah, I sit, you know, when the pandemic hit, I made room in my bedroom for my art studio. And so when I'm sitting there, I can look. And I've got stuff that needs to be finished, 2 paintings that I haven't been able to finish, because one, you know, sometimes I lose my mojo. Mm-hmm. And
you take breaks.
And I take breaks, but it's never far from my sight. I look this way, and I'm looking at it. Yeah. You know, and it's going to tell me when it's time to get back to it.
Yeah.
You know, I look over here, and there's the other piece, and, you know, I'll look at that. And sometimes things that come to me, what's my next step's going to be, but sometimes not. But I always let the piece tell me when it's going to be done. I don't know if you guys can see it from your point of view, but that bird painting there on the wall that sold, that took me over a year to finish. I started it. I started it. I don't know what happened. And this came from a photograph that I took from my front door. And it moved me so much because it was such an ethereal view for me. Even a photograph doesn't put that view of the birds, the fog of the window and everything into perspective. It was one of the harshest winters that we had. The snow was up to there. And I mean, literally the feeder, you know, where the birds have the feeder, the snow, here's the feeders, and usually you see the long pole.
Yeah.
Most of that, 75% of that feeder was packed with snow.
Yeah.
So there was just the two,
A
you know.
squirrel's reach, right?
Yeah. Well, even the squirrels didn't do it because they would have fell right into the snow. So, you know, but the point of view and the emotional impact it had on me, I was trying now to paint. And, you know, when you're in that moment, you're in that moment. But all of a sudden it left me. So I had to put it away. And it stayed away for a year. I would say it was a year till I brought it back out. And that emotion just was like, bam, right there. Like as if it was yesterday or today, that day that I was experienced it all over again.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the kind of stuff, you know, I don't rush anything. It's going to happen. It's going to flow. Sometimes there's paintings, as we both, all three of us know, that you can get done in one sitting.
Yeah. And sometimes you just got to give it a break.
And sometimes
fresh eye, you know.
Fresh eye.
That's always good.
But yeah, I can't imagine doing commissions as a job. I'd almost want to work at like GameStop or something, you know, have something completely different from being creative. Do you know what I mean? Like I would want a total separate job.
Right.
From my art. Because to me, my art, you know, it's not a commodity.
Right.
You know, it's just all pure 100% Rob and Monique Rios.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have that competing with having to do a creative job, because I think that would suck it right out of me. I don't know, maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. I'm just saying, I haven't had to do it, you know, since I've had the gallery.
Yeah.
Everything I've been doing has been part of art.
Yeah.
So I don't know, guys. I mean, great topic. I mean, this is.
It's everybody has different motivations, you know. I mean, I know guys that just do commissions.
Yeah.
You know, me, I just no, it's not for me.
Yeah, but
I've
they
had too many
do
downs.
art for themselves too, or they just do straight commissions.
We're just real prolific artists that just are always, you know, like Darrell. He's always got something in his hand drawn. You know,
Yeah.
The guy's always doing it. I'm not like that. You know, but
I'm drawing every day.
Yeah.
I draw every day.
Yeah. No.
Because my brain, I don't know what's wrong with it, but it helps me to focus.
Right.
Even if part of that thought process is about an idea or concept or feeling that I want to do, a painting or sculpture or whatever it is, in order for me to think clearly and just kind of focus on my feelings or my thoughts, doodling has always been my go-to thing.
Yeah.
Always, since toddlerhood.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as I go to hold a pencil.
Right.
You know, I don't do it. Darrell is an illustrator. My work is focused mainly on just, you know, geometric shapes and design, because that's how my brain works.
You know, actually, that word illustrator is pretty key, because, like, in the beginning of the 20th century, there was a big dilemma: are you an artist or an illustrator? Because that was considered the golden age of illustration.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, Norman Rockwell came out of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Howard Pyle was actually like the grandfather of all that. He was a great painter, and his illustrations, you know, he illustrated like pirate books and Western novels, but they looked like fine art paintings. And from that, you know, N.C. Wyeth, you know, Norman Rockwell, all these great, you know, Maxfield Parrish, they all came from that school. And a lot of the artists or art critics didn't consider them artists. They were illustrators, because they did it for commission work. So that's a whole nother discussion.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, I don't really, you know, it's funny because when I call you an illustrator or a painter or a sculptor, I don't separate that from being an artist. You know, I
To
guess
me, they're
that,
the same.
right, but I
Yeah.
get what you're saying now. And
But there used to be a divide, though.
Yeah.
There used to be, oh, he's an illustrator. Oh, no, he's a fine artist.
or a graphic artist, you know, you weren't considered an artist either because you did mostly lettering and design.
Yeah.
So, but even, I mean, let me tell you, doing lettering, who knows how to do that anymore, right? I mean, I knew they're all gone now. They're gone from the earth.
When I was growing up, a guy who lived 2 doors down from me was a hand letterer. And we used to go there as kids because people would drop off vans, trucks, sometimes race cars. And he would do all by hand, all the logos, single stroke letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I knew people like that. And I'm like, man, what an art.
Yeah.
What an art that is. I mean, and there's not, and like I said, most of those guys now that I knew are gone. And it's unfortunate because it's who's next in line for that? Nobody.
The guys that still do it get top dollar now because now it's a
Few far in between.
Yeah, it's a big commodity. There's still a couple trade magazines for that, but everything's vinyl letters.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Which suck.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, they're fast, and
they're fast and
you
easy.
can do it yourself.
You can do it yourself.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, what an artistry!
I know.
You know, I used to take calligraphy,
Yeah.
and I had a teacher because I would go to Truman College, and I did just the workshops. But it was so fun, and the guy there, you could tell that lettering and calligraphy was his art.
Yeah.
He had a passion for it, and all his students loved him. Fortunately, during our classes, he passed away, but I never forget him. I never forget him. Why? Because of his passion for his craft.
Yeah.
And because he had the passion, he gave it to us. And whether we were good at it or not, he made us feel good.
Yeah.
And he would always encourage us and be like, be free. Let your hand flow. It doesn't have to look like mine, because there's a technique and there's ways that letters should specifically look. But he wanted you to learn, number one, to just be loose, because those designs are loose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're busy trying to be all stiff and force the pen and the nib, and it just was like, he's like, whoa, he's like, you're not in the ring. You're just let it loose, breathe. But it's just that kind of stuff, I think, too, is important, is the passion. If you have a passion and do commissions, that's awesome. But what hurts my feelings is when you hate your job, being creative. When you're an artist and you hate being an artist.
Yeah.
Why? Well, most of the hate comes from the fact that they feel like they should be paid for their art. Well, if your art is a commodity, then you need to find a job doing it to where it doesn't hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
And you're getting paid hourly.
Sit down with yourself and ask
Figure
yourself.
that out. Yeah.
Why do I do this? What is
Right.
my motivation?
I knew some really great artists. Having 4Art space in the gallery over the years, this is 18 years, I can say that one of the greatest things for me was meeting so many different artists, all different walks of life, different mediums, different perspectives, and I run into the artists who are so full of passion, and excitement, and then you've got these artists who basically, I wouldn't say they were half, they were, a quarter, who were so grumpy and upset and just hated the world, hated people, hated art, hated artists. It was just, I was like, wow.
Tortured artists.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you were so grumpy. Like, I couldn't hold myself back. I was like, look, if you hate art so much, why are you doing this? Just take your art back home, because you're not enjoying the process. And I'm not enjoying seeing you, to be honest with you. And I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. They were older than me, and I'm always trying to be respectful. But you know, I had enough is enough, and I was just like, look, if it's so detrimental and you're so unhappy, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because obviously this isn't working for
Yeah.
you know. But there that is. I mean, great, whoever wrote this, we appreciate it, and it was a great topic of discussion. We're going to do this more often, and we will have more artists come in and giving them different perspectives on some of these comments as we move forward. If you guys have suggestions for topics, please put that in the comments below. I will add links to Brian and Susie so y'all can look at their art. And please share with your friends, and if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. And if you feel like it, subscribe. But we won't keep doing it regardless.
Because we like to.
Because we like to and we want to. So thanks guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for coming in again and giving us some of your wisdom.
Thanks.
All right, bye guys.